body bags where horror lies.
Hello and welcome to Body Bags. My name is James and I'm your Sunday night reviewer. And this evening I thought I would bring you the delights of Rawhead Rex. So from the imagination of Clive Barker and the realisation of George Pavlou. So we have Rawhead, this kind of ancient beast that's buried in a field in England. He's kind of it's kind of like this I don't know what it is, like a stone altar maybe, just this huge kind of rock that's above him that kind of seals his tomb. And some farmers decide to crack it open. They just want to plough their field, obviously, and boomf, is out in the open. What we do, we actually follow something a little different, because I had the graphic novel of this when I was a kid, and it's pretty much the same. I think I don't recall if the family were American or not. I don't remember, but we follow an American family. The characters are pretty much the same, but what's lacking in this, as well as general quality, is the gore. There's a lot of gore in the book, not the film. Especially one of the key scenes that I always remember reading so much, it stuck with me so much, and the scene in the film is just a huge letdown, but I'll get to that in a bit. What's a little bit shocking with this, I believe the script was by Barker, and the script is horrible. I hope I'm wrong with that. Very good chance I could be. But yeah, it's just a bit of a weird one if he did do the script. Yeah, the film is such a letdown to what the graphic novel was. But we follow this American family. They're kind of on this holidays as mom and pop and two kids, son and daughter, very like 2.4 kids sort of thing. I think he's doing some research on, I think it's religious artifacts or something to do with churches, bits and pieces. He happens to be in this small village where Rawhead has been released. And yeah, he's just starting to run amok. And the police are like, what the hell is going on here? There's a few memorable scenes. A couple making out. One gets head or loses his head. Yeah. And then a boy sees Rawhead, gets freaked out and stuff like that. Yeah, Rawhead is just being a bit of a pain in the ass. He actually goes back to that same trailer park later and really starts to trash things up in there. Yeah, like knocking things over, killing people and stuff like that. But you see him, he's menacingly wandering around, and like there's one that's could be quite scary. He kills this farmer, and then the wife is in the farmhouse, and this is all in daytime, and you've got this huge beast. He's just like smashing his way through to her. And it could be quite scary if he just didn't look so bad. He just looks really dorky. I don't know, I don't think the budget was very high for this, and Rawhead has just got these stupid eyes, and then trying to make him look imposing and scary, but it just doesn't quite work. It's just, yeah, it just falls a little bit flat. And all of these scenes of Rawhead's killing and stuff like that, it's just, there's just no gore to it. Even when he's got the head, it's just a head. It's like no tearing the head off and stuff like that, and like killing people. You get the old like scratch mark and stuff like that. And the kind of the scene that I'm alluring to, that I was really disappointed, is one where the family, so they're driving along and the little girl needs to stop and pee. So she runs into the field. They hear screaming, so mum and dad, shit. And everyone's like, oh, is this Rawhead? And it's a dead rabbit. And so they're like comforting the girl, and Rawhead pops up at the car and takes the boy. But what you see in a graphic novel is he basically tears the boy's head off, or bites it, rips it off anyway. In the movie, you don't get that. You just get the dad doing this very weak kind of trying to be passionate. But I'm trying to see who the dad is. I can't remember the actors now. But it's just, yeah, you just needed to see what kind of how Rawhead takes him. You don't have this menace. It's kind of a little bit menacing, like when the kid's kicking and he's reaching in and out, but it lacks. So when the daddy's trying to do this scream, it's like you don't have this fear and dread about what's happening to the kid. It's the kid's annoying as well. Yeah, it kind of, this is the whole problem in the film. There isn't that fear and dread. Rawhead isn't scary. He's just doofy looking, and there's no menace, and the script is poor and annoying. And you have this priest who touches this altar that's somehow linked to Rawhead, and it's kind of triggered it. And so he kind of snaps and becomes like a disciple of Rawhead, and he's just this big dick. And our main the dad, our main guy, he keeps going back. He's like taking photos of like the artifacts and stuff in the stained glass, because there's one where you see Rawhead in the stained glass. And yeah, you actually see there's a weapon in there, and he realizes later that the weapon to kill Rawhead is in the altar. But it's just, yeah, it's just frustrating. The police are just really crappy. Even actually the dad, it's like they're at the police station afterwards, and he's just more pissed off that the police aren't really doing stuff. His son was just killed in front of him. The mum's just sobbing a little bit, and fuck, I would be inconsolable. I would be destroyed. And the dad's just kind of just pissed off at the police, and he's going to go to the church and try and figure out what's going on. And it's just so light. It's like, oh, the boy fell over and broke his arm, but he's okay now. No, he was killed. But how they're acting, it just doesn't link up, just doesn't line up to it. So yeah, that makes it struggle as well. And yeah, there's a big showdown obviously at the end, and more people touch the altar and go a little bit crazy because they see all these visions of the past, and it just snaps their mind. The dad that touches the altar at one point, but it doesn't snap his mind for some reason. But yeah, he manages to go and get the weapon, and then wielding the weapon doesn't work. Yeah, he's about to get dismembered by Rawhead, and the wife picks up the weapon and it triggers, and he realizes for some reason it's only works with women. Don't really know why. And the whole reasoning with this is you don't know why, what's going on. It's just this, well, it's kind of this ancient beast, and it got kind of buried, and obviously the folklore, well, the stories told within the church and maybe in the church records that he's trying to find the whole time, but they're hidden and destroyed. Yeah, it's just a bit of a chore, but for some reason I can keep watching this film. I get disappointed every time watching it, but at the same time I always get drawn back to it. I don't know how many times I've watched this, over 10 times now. It's not a very good film, but it's just something about it that I'm just drawn to. There's a few scenes that just, if it had more care, more thought, more, I don't know, something more. There's no dread, there's no guile, there's nothing like that in the film. If they just, some better writing, I think, for it, better direction, better acting, you can get away with the low budget effects. Don't show Rawhead as much. Christ, they show him whenever they can. It's like, stop showing him. Kind of have him in the shadows more, and then you can kind of, at the end, kind of do this reveal of something that doesn't look like it does. But anyway, from my glowing review, kind of, if you're a fan of Barker, give it a watch. If you really love the graphic novel, maybe give it a miss. But I think if you've had the graphic novel, you will have seen this by now. But it's one of those movies. It's 80s fun, I guess. I enjoy it. Anyway, that's the end of the review. I hope you guys like this, and I'll catch you next week. Thank you. Bye bye.